Okay, so we are in homework week 2. Now these homeworks from the first 3 weeks are going to be the most important, and you can just keep on doing them as much as you like for as long as you like. So just a real quick review on what we did last week. We did these cubes. So we have a cube here. You can just make as many cubes as you like. So remember that the line in front is a little bit longer than the line in back. Or you can put them in perspective here. Here's the horizon line. Here's the vanishing point. And then we have these lines that basically hit straight from that vanishing point if we want it to be in 1-point perspective. All right. The other thing we can think about doing is working on practicing shading. So what does practicing shading really mean? Well, it means that we have our darks, we have our mids, and we have our lights. And let's see here. I'm just going to do it with a pencil, but you can do it with anything that you got. But if we have a dark, well, that means it's really dark, right? Super dark. And then it can kind of slowly get into sort of a mid-tone. We call it mid-tone, but really these are values. And then it gets really light. Of course, the paper is the lightest. So if you want to make a background that's like a little darker, that might work to make things a little bit lighter in the front. Then you can put some shadows in. So the light is coming down this way. This side would be a little bit darkened in. So, but really what week 2 is about is beginning to do these ellipses. So the ellipse, in this case, will be a little bit further down. I started one, and I'll just show you how I did it. So we have this line, makes it a little cross like this. See that? And then we got a line that makes a little cross like this that we can erase a little bit later. And we can measure these if you like. So this one's like a little bit more than 3 inches, 3.5 inches. We can put a little dot here, we put a little dot here, and then we make this a little bit round on this side and a little bit flat on this side, a little bit flat on this side, a little bit round on this side. And then we connect this flattish area, but still a little round even though, to this one right here. And it makes this line here. You're going to need to do a lot of erasing. When I did this the first time, I ended up fixing it like 100 times. And then this one here, it's a little bit round, goes to here. So what you want is you want these things to look the same, right? We call it symmetry. So working on symmetry is a major part of the process in and of itself. And you want to do a bunch of these ellipses. So I started another one down below here. All right, so I got this cross line like this. See that cross? I got a line that went up and down like this. And then from here to here and here to here, they're all the same. So that's maybe like 2 inches, 2 inches, and this is maybe an inch, and this is an inch. And then I got to go from here to here. How do I do that? Well, this one's going to be kind of flat, and then this one's going to be kind of turned. This one's going to be kind of flat. This one's going to be kind of turned. And then we can put like a dot here and a dot here, and maybe a dot here and a dot here. You can even measure them if you really like. But then you connect these points just like that. There's a math to this, but I honestly don't know the math. The tendency is to make these kind of like triangles. You know, you don't want to do that. These are not triangles. These are like ovally ellipses. And then I made another one way down over here. So you just want to make a bunch of these, you know, just keep on working on them. And then this one here is like really squished. It's like you're looking at it almost flat on. So you go straight across. And then you have one like this. And you can do the measurements, let's say 4 fingers this way, 4 fingers this way, half a finger, half a finger. So how do you do that? Well, you know, this side's going to be really long. This side's going to be really long. And then this side's going to be a little turn like this, really squished. And you can put a little dot here, a little dot here, a little dot here. And then this here has to connect with this dot and then start to make that turn. This one here has to connect with that dot and then make that sharp U-turn. But you know, just go ahead and try making ellipses without maybe making a cross in between. How do you do that? Well, you're going to have to do a lot of fixing, but you can probably do it. Just think about it like this is a pizza, right? One side and the other have to be kind of the same. Does that make sense? Hope you can see that. All right, and then we can go on and make like tubes. All right, so what's a tube look like? No, I got a tube right over here that I started working on. All right, so basically what you have is you have these little crosses, but because this is, let's say the horizon line's right about here, the horizon line's right about here, then things kind of go off into the distance like that, right? And then this tube exists within this perspective, and then the further down you go, the more these ellipses become big fat ellipses. So it's a fat ellipse, medium ellipse, and then it becomes a skinny ellipse right up here. So right here you got this little cross, and it's a little U-turn here, a little U-turn, and then a fatter turn right up here, a fatter turn right up here. Then this one's going to be more medium. This one's going to be more medium. It's going to go across here. It's going to go across here. And obviously we're seeing like, this is kind of like a glass tube. You can see right through it. Then we got a cross right down here at the bottom. And then this is kind of fat. This is kind of fat. And then there is a little U-turn here. There's a little U-turn here. So you just want to do these on your own. Make a bunch of these. Then you can fill it in like this because the light's coming in this way, so it's bright on this side, dark on this side. You can make these like little cross hatches. Just experiment. You can erase some of the stuff on the back here. You can erase some of these lines because these lines aren't necessary. Put in a shadow. And then just make a lot of tubes. Make as many tubes as you like. Here, I'm going to darken it in with a magic marker here. What the heck? Yeah, you see the light is having a hard time coming in over on this side. All right. Have fun with this stuff. Make a lot of tubes. You can make like tube universe. All right, so that's week 2. Let's just go straight to week 3. Okay, so we'll combine week 2 and week 3 here. So week 3 is spheres, right? It's like your old teacher's globe. Let's pull back a little bit. So this is week 3. Try to get that in magic marker too. Week 3 homework. So you're gonna have to make a whole bunch of these spheres, right? Whole bunch of balls. So if you find a tennis ball, you can draw the tennis ball. Just like you could draw a tube if you're on week 2 and you're doing the tubes. So here what we have is we have a ball. It looks a little like a pumpkin just the way I did it. Now, I might have already talked about this a little bit, but there's a difference between perceptual and conceptual. So this is a conceptual ball, right? Part of the way I got that ball was, let's say I just made an X right through it. I know that this side and this side are going to have to be the same. This side and this side are going to have to be the same. I can always put like little dots here to get that. And then within that ball, we have these little ellipses, right? These little ellipses that go right through. Is it longitude or latitude? I always forget what these little lines represent. So let's say I wasn't going to do the ball, but I was going to do the ball like the line, the light coming in. Okay, the light's coming in here. So this is going to be sort of bright. This one might be a little bit, the light is really coming in really right from the side. You know, the window's open over on this side. And then so this one might be a little bit darker over here. It's a little less dark over here, and a little less dark over here. Now obviously you can do your ball on the side where the, so I did one basically the same way right over here. So again, how do I do it? I make an X. It doesn't have to be a cross, it doesn't have to be straight. And then I put little dots on all these sides, and then I connect them. Right, so our pizza's all the same on all four sides. It's called symmetry. And then here I'm putting in these ellipses right through here. Okay, and then right over on this side it's going to be dark. So I might move it a little bit here. My magic marker's kind of running out of ink a little bit. A little less dark. And I'll put in the shadow. And my poor magic marker's really having trouble here. Anyway, it's not perfect anymore, but you get some sense of it. And then just to give you some sense of, like, for people who like want to be real experts in this stuff, you can try to put your ball into perspective. So I have a ball here that's in perspective. I have a horizon line that's going right here. And I have the vanishing point here. And there is basically, this is kind of like, how do I put the round circle of the ball? Well, it's actually an ellipse at this point. Honestly, I kind of eyeballed it. There's a whole mathematical way of doing this. But the point around it is that all these things can be viewed in perspective. And then I'm going to put the ball into perspective here. This may be a little bit beyond the scope of the class, but I'm just giving you a sense that even a ball actually lives in perspective in some ways, even though because it's kind of symmetrical in every direction, you may not see it that way. All right, and then finally we can get an actual ball. So what does an actual ball look like? Well, I've got a tennis ball right here. See my tennis ball? It's actually got a pretty good shadow right there. So what I would do is I would avoid these little lines here, the tennis ball lines. I mean, you can put them in, but I wouldn't put emphasis on it. More what I would put emphasis on is like the shadow that's kind of coming off the bottom right here. All right, yep. So just do your best. Have fun setting this up and giving it a try at home. All right.